Hi, I'm Fiona, and this is my testimony, which I have written down, and I'm just going to read it out. It's not a crash and burn story, and in fact, for many years, it worried me that it was less Jane Eyre and more Enid Blyton, and therefore worth nothing. But as I've grown, I can see the immense blessings in the stability of having a deep, lasting, and sure foundation that goes back generations, as well as having a personal story that may be unremarkable, but is nonetheless cherished and valued by God. My dad was a paediatrician specialising in maternal and child health in the tropics, so my childhood was in East Africa and in Scotland and the northeast of England, where he worked with overseas medical students and doctors. Our home all seemed to be full of people, children, I'm one of 6, foreign students and friends. Mum and Dad were always warm and welcoming and didn't care about the mess or the whole being invited protocol. They taught us family hold back when unexpected people turned up at tea time and how to treat people equally, whoever they are. They always had time for people, and my dad was the most patient man I ever met. My mum was actually really shy, and I think I'm probably like her, and yet I learned the true meaning of family through how they lived. Like all families, we had and still have our issues, some massive and some just normal, everyday, fleeting stuff. But I guess what I'm trying to say is I understand what real love is, because that's where I came from. God was just part of our life and home in a very normal, but not in a pushy way. When I was 7, I remember my eldest brother saying goodnight to me, asking if I wanted to accept Jesus into my heart. So I did. I asked Jesus if he wanted to come into my heart and share my hot chocolate. I guess that was my first official commitment. There were others, quite a few in fact, because I just didn't know if I was or I wasn't born again. That's how insecure I am. I guess I was waiting for my life to change dramatically, for the thunderclap, when all the while God was in the still small voice, and in the very tapestry of my life woven already into my story. I don't know why I've struggled with such overwhelming feelings of being on the edge, of failing, of not quite meeting the mark, but I have all my life, and I still do. Yet they've been mixed in with overwhelming moments of deep joy and the knowledge that I am deeply and utterly loved by my Father God. I've seen amazing things happen in my family and in people that I can trust to tell and know the truth, physical healings, God just coming alongside when someone needs his strong arms beside them, and just God being part of life, so enmeshed that it's impossible to separate the spiritual from the everyday. Chris and I received healing ourselves when the doctors told us we wouldn't be able to have children. They were hard, but actually wonderful years of great sadness, but also intense relationship with God, and looking back, I really thank God for that time, when the truth of God's love for me and the fact that he is a God who sees and knows and stands beside us in sorrow and in joy was at times overwhelming. When I got married, my dad told us to fill the aquifers of our life in the good times when blessings were plentiful, so that in times of drought we would have water in the well. I think as I've got older I've really valued this advice, and in times that I struggle with the feeling of being lost, I still have a deep knowledge that God is God and that he loves me, and that even though I don't feel it, he is there. I do thank God that he is a God of patience, a God who is willing to wait for me because he loves me. He sees how often I fall short, how distracted and tuned out I get. He sees my boredom and my doubt. He doesn't patronise me. He sees me and he knows me, and he is there when I turn and see him. His heart is full of forgiveness and love for me, despite my ignorance, my awkwardness, my dullness. He is holding me, and I am his safe in his arms, always.